course there's a stink bug in the car. Get out of here, dude. Construction. Love it. So I needed something to attach to my jack. I saw a few guys make like a piece of plywood. Basically this is like 5/8 or 3/4 inch thick plywood. It's pretty strong. They made a little spacer out of wood to space it up to clear the actual jack arm. So I decided to 3D print one, 0.6 nozzle, 6 perimeters, 25% infill, and then just some wood screws. I drilled some holes in the adapter, or the actual foot of the actual jack, so that I could attach it. Screws went through the other side, so I'd cut them off, whatever. So this will attach to my jack, but if all works as I think it's going to, the transmission should fall on the ground. All right, we're taking bets, everybody. 3D printed adapters in there, got some screws running through it, so it's in compression. It's not really holding a whole lot of load other than, what do you want to call that? Linear load. A little bit of twisting force going on, but that's still compression. Majority of the pressure and the stress is going to be on this plywood, which looks like it's already giving up the ghost. We'll see. If it works, it'll come right out, and if it doesn't, I'll send you a video of it on the ground. So I'm taking bets. What do you think the likelihood of this setup working is? I got it strapped in well, so got that going for us. Keep it from rolling one way or the other, hopefully. Let's see how it goes. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of terrified. I don't want to f my transmission up, but it is what it is. You gotta work with what you gotta work with, and I'm not buying an expensive ass transjet for one job. Don't let anybody tell you you gotta pull the whole motor to get this transmission out. Dude, to hell with that. All you have to do is remove the entire left side, can't even talk. All you have to do is remove the entire driver's side suspension linkage, all of that. Zip tie the brakes up, drain the coolant, remove the manifold, the central manifold here, remove the manifold, build a custom, have a 3D printer, you don't need the 3D printer, build a custom wooden thing, drill holes in your jack foot, screw the screws through, split a piece of wood, split the piece of wood so it's perfect, strap it down, and take the last bolt out. And it's that easy. And the motor's still in there. Thank God, because I did not want to take that out. That would have made it so much more difficult. I don't know anything about cars. So yeah, it's out, and we're gonna do the clutch. It almost seems like it's got some sort of aftermarket clutch, but I don't know. We'll look at it. Now it's time to drink beer and eat meat, because that's what we do as men. We do what we want all of the time, except when our wives tell us to do something else. I'd like to pressure wash the transmission. A couple of things I want to cover up. Obviously, the output shaft openings for the axles. 3D printed some covers. This is a 40mm bore on this side, a 50mm on this side, and I just basically made a 50mm plug and a 40mm plug with about a 3/16 lip around the outside of it, and with the actual plug portion of it's about a 1/2 inch long, so just enough to kind of just sit over the hole. I'm obviously not going to try to blast water directly at that if I can help it. I'm just going to take a rubber plug, because I forgot about the speedo, stick that over top of that, and not going to try to spray this center directly. I don't know what the hell that is. Yeah, other than that, once I get it clean, I'm going to spray the rusty stuff down with rust remover gel and make it look as good as I possibly can. I might spray the whole thing down with just some wheel cleaner spray that I have. I think it would work perfect for something like this. Hopefully it looks better, will look better than what it looks like right now, and that's the goal. Do a little before. I still have the plugs in there, so I'll probably paint it, let it dry, while we're doing dinner. Probably bring it inside tonight, and then I'll paint the other side tomorrow. I mean, the majority of what's going to be showing is this side here. Dude, look at the connector. I didn't do that. Somebody just blasted right over top of the wiring, the connector and everything in this last transmission. Dude, I love those guys. They're so cool. What a lack of preparation. They just went for it. And we're going to do a little bit of the same, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I guess I probably should mask off the rubber pieces, but you know, who cares? Nobody's gonna see it anyways. So just before I started to spray it, I noticed some of the components, specifically over here, it looked a little shiny. So I just touched it and there's condensation. So that's because it came out of my air-conditioned garage flexing. So we're gonna let it equalize the temperature so that it doesn't condensate and prevent the paint from sticking. Because it just pressure washed and cleaned the shit out of this thing yesterday. I certainly don't want to ruin the paint job for the sake of just letting it sit for another 15-20 minutes. So let's go have a beer. All right, so I did a little test spot, and that is really silver. I know a lot of people like that flashy stuff, but I think this is the same color I painted my jet ski engine block in. Fairy silver. Holy cow. This is a brand new transmission, guys. I got it from Japan. Toyota built it just for me. Look, right over the boot, right on the boot itself. Who cares? It's definitely gonna flake off of that before anything else. Oh my god, my hand's already getting tired. Oh my god, it's splattering because my fat ass finger's in the way. Here, I'll use my thumb. There we go. Now we're talking, baby. That's looking great. This is professional. Professional transmission rebuild. Don't worry, guys. I parked the cars 20 feet away, so the overspray definitely won't travel over there. Make sure we paint that seal really good, just like they did the last one. Gotta make the seal look like it's made of metal. Oh my god, dude, look. Come on, dude. No prep work at all? You can't even pull this shit off? Ripping off some panties, boy. Remember to shake the can periodically. Man, this looks... You know what? Like, as much as I hate doing this kind of thing, it always looks better. You know, a coat of paint just looks so much better. I probably should have masked that stud off. Oh well. It's important to remember that when we go to install this... Okay, I didn't even spray it at all that time. I just sprayed over here like that. When we go to install this, we're gonna scratch the hell out of it anyway. So, God, the silver bracket looks really cheesy. Whatever. Ultimately, we're just trying to. It's just rust preventative. Well, that's what we'll tell ourselves. Brand new rebuilt transmission from Japan. I know what I got. Don't lowball me. Oh my God, there's a spider web in there I didn't get with a pressure washer. Let's get that right there. Okay, perfect. We gotta make sure we get the bolts too. I want that real titanium look. When I bought this car, I was like, well, for sure I'm gonna take the transmission out and I want to paint it like a brand new charbroil grill, because really that's like the American touch. That's the USDM way. We're not doing the JDM restoration shit around here. Oh my God, I almost fell. Oh my God, it's so silver. I'll just clean that off with some acetone or some denatured alcohol. Get that paint off of there. As long as the contacts are clean, who cares, right? And we do have some bolt holes that are getting painted. Make sure you wear a respirator, because I'm breathing in a lot of paint fumes. Hey, one thing's for certain, this thing is not going to look dirty as hell in a few months. And it's certainly not going to chip off as soon as I pressure wash it. Fucking mosquito. You know, Rust-Oleum, if you want to sponsor me, dude, that would be so sick. I'll paint my whole car with Rust-Oleum turbo cans. I will, because it's pretty close to the factory color, and I've seen some people do it and it turns out pretty good. If you sponsor me, it'll probably be the first good Rust-Oleum spray paint job on an MR2, because we do it right here at Degreeless Engineering. All right, I think that's good for now. I'm gonna let that dry, let that set up. Doesn't that look nice, guys? Doesn't look like I spray painted it silver at all. I mean, especially once it's in the car with all the other dirty, crusty ass shit. It's not gonna look terrible. It's not gonna make everything else look bad at all. So we have that to look forward to. Now I'm gonna have a rusty old engine and a sterling silver transmission. Hell yeah. Well, let's go drink some soju. Oh, is that a C6? So obviously we have a baby. I also have a lot of parts here. We've got a stage 1 clutch, ARP bolts. We have a pin.
I want that.
Rear main seal, just in case. I think it's good though. Being that the transmission looks like it's been out before, either it's a reman or somebody rebuilt it and painted it some kind of gray color. I'm gonna go out and say that hopefully the rear main was done then, but we're gonna look at the condition, and if it looks okay, then we'll just save that seal for later. What I did notice is a lot of the hoses look mostly original, or very old for that matter, and need to be changed out. I ordered this whole kit of hoses off of Amazon because it's 2-day shipping versus 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It had 2 reviews, 5 stars. One of them was a written review with a picture. The guy said put it on his MR2 and everything has been working great. I guess we'll find out. But these got all the little odds and ends, little hoses and stuff that I'm going to replace while I'm in there doing the clutch. Make it a lot easier to do it now. This is the new oil pan. Current one on there is rusty. And shit, is that just like, I guess it's just made into it. I have this same dent on mine and I thought it was like, oh, something hit it, but did something hit it? This is a Spectra Premium. So this is like the top of the line one off of Rock Auto. So it's their top level one. Apparently this is like the best one. I don't know. They're probably all made in the same place. This one feels nice and heavy. It's a nice thick steel. Make sure I got the oil return, which a lot of research online, sight unseen. I wasn't even at the house when I was looking online, adding things to my cart like I do. Some of the cars didn't come with this fitting here, and mine does. So I'm glad I checked before I bought it. Whole fitting, or that insert, welded nut, whatever you want to call it, is not very centered, but I think it's going to be okay. Brand new powder coated oil pan to get rid of the rusty crusty one. Let's do some stuff to the car. Let's go ahead and put the clutch on. Pull the clutch off, check out the rear main seal, and if we need to pull that out, we will.
I'm a 3rd-degree burn victim.
Okay, so those are the sizes we need, and that's a whoopee cushion. It's called the Big Ripper. What's going on, guys? A little update here. It's been a little while, but we are still working on the MR2. Been going through a whole fiasco with the flywheel, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But for right now, what I'm currently working on is just cleaning everything up that I've removed from the car as a part of doing the clutch job. So big things like motor mounts, inspection plates for the transmission to block shim, the sheet metal shim, just overall just little brackets, metal brackets here and there, ultimately just need to be cleaned up and powder coated is what I'd like to do. So I have my own powder coating gun, but one thing I would really like to do is get these parts super clean, and I have a few methods that I want to test. For right now, I want to focus on 2 options, which is a chelating rust remover, Evapo-Rust, but not just Evapo-Rust, but a homemade Evapo-Rust that I learned how to make from Repair Geek on YouTube. Very nice young man that was nice enough to put up the formula to how to make Evapo-Rust, and it costs in total probably 20 bucks to make several gallons of this stuff versus spending $120 to $130 for a 5-gallon bucket of Evapo-Rust. You can make it yourself for a quarter of that, if not less. So, and that's the initial cost of the ingredients. But once you have those ingredients, you can make several batches of this stuff, and you can buy it all from Amazon.com. So as you can see, I'm a clear fan of clear containers, and I'm gonna take a seat here. These motor mounts, and I still got to get the rubbers out, we'll talk a little bit about that, have quite a bit of rust on them, and as you can see, the inside is pretty clean. There's even a little clean spot right there near my thumb. I removed that rust with my homemade bead blaster. I wanted to try it at least with my pancake compressor. I have a small 5-gallon, if that, pancake compressor, and it just doesn't have the volume to be able to bead blast. So this stuff being rusty, one thing that chelating fluid does really well is it removes rust from metal, but it has to be bare. So anywhere there's paint, it is said to not remove the paint, which kind of sucks, but I have an option for that. Most of these that are in here now, this has what appears to be maybe some paint on it. I don't know, it's like some weird plating. I started hitting it with a Ziz wheel and got some of the debris off, but ultimately this is going in. This right here, as you can see, has a lot of paint on the inside. These two over here, this one's got some surface rust. This one's got rust on the other side. This one's got some surface rust, mostly paint. But all of these parts collectively are getting some kind of powder coat. Wrinkle finish, flat black. I got a lot of flat black, so that's probably what I'm going to use. It looks really good. It looks like this. Yeah, it looked pretty good. I mean, all things considered, being the fact that I couldn't get it super clean, but I have an option for that. I don't know if chelating fluid works on aluminum. Maybe it does. I need to look into that. But I know it works on steel. Repair Geek, I don't know how many gallons he made. Mine's a little more concentrated because you do have to drain some of the water. You know what? Let's talk about how to make chelating fluid. Chelating rust removing fluid. This is it right now. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff settled on the bottom. That's a combination of 285 plus grams of citric acid, 38 grams of disodium EDTA, available on Amazon. You need 38 grams of that, 1 gallon of distilled water, and 1 to 2 drops of dish soap. These are all food grade ingredients, by the way, so it's not super toxic. Check out Repair Geek's channel. Make sure you guys support him. I'll put a link to his video in the description below. Yeah, I made that fluid probably about 10-15 minutes ago, and it clearly doesn't like to mix. The strap's probably gonna break. I'm gonna lose all my chelating fluid. Citric acid is kind of like, it looks like sugar, and it's really sour. And this is what they put on sour gummy worms. So if you want to make your own sour gummy worms, first learn how to make gummy worms, and then put a bunch of citric acid on it, and it'll make it extremely sour. So citric acid, sodium, EDTA, disodium, distilled water, and dish soap makes Evapo-Rust, and they're charging $30 a gallon for the shit. This cost me, well, I didn't pay for the citric acid, we already had it. Disodium was $13 for enough to make probably 4 gallons. Dish soap, already had it. And distilled water, already had it. We bought it for our daughter because we thought maybe she'd be drinking formula like our first daughter, but she is on the booby. I'm gonna keep mixing this, but in the meantime, let's check out my other option. Well, I don't have a big enough air compressor. What I do have is a rather powerful gas-powered pressure washer, and what you can buy is this: a wand that connects to your pressure washer, a red hose that connects to that assembly, and at the end of that red hose, there's this guy. Now, it's basically just 2 stainless steel tubes tack welded together, but at the end, got these 2 taper cuts. This end connects to the red hose that goes to your pressure washer, and this end remains open. You stick this down in a bucket of sand or the bag of sand. Play sand is what I plan on using, and it draws air in through this short tube here and sand out the top, and that's why it's got that angle cut. It's like a little handoff there. So that's pretty cool. It's got some decent reviews. I think that kit was $30. So you can do some bead blasting yourself without a cabinet, make a humongous mess. Here is the nozzle setup. So this little bent section will connect to the hose that is right here. And as you can see, inside is a ceramic insert that is supposed to help deal with the abrasives. So the downside of using something like this is, 1, it uses water, 2, it uses gas, but 3, it makes a big ass mess from what I hear. So wherever you end up doing, wherever I end up doing it, being these parts are kind of small, I hope it doesn't take too long. The good thing about the water though is as it's removing material, it's cooling it too, where a lot of bead blasting, especially sheet metal, you can end up heating up the part in a certain spot and warping it, damaging the sheet metal parts. So I'm gonna get this all hooked up. I'm gonna let that chelating fluid kind of, hopefully it'll mix up. It's still not mixed. What am I supposed to do with that? I shake it and I shake it and nothing happens. Maybe I'll stick it in the microwave. Can I microwave distilled water bottle? They say it does better when it's warmer. Hopefully once this stuff actually mixes up, because there's a lot of citric acid in there. I was surprised I had to dump out a lot of water. So this kit does come with safety glasses. I've already got some of my own. Make sure you always wear safety glasses. I'll put a link to this bead blaster kit in the description below. I got impatient. I needed some better tools to get this kind of stuff stripped down to bare metal, because I am obsessed with powder coating car parts. So anytime I come across a part on this car that's rusty, crusty, dirty, shitty, paint chipping, surface rust, whatever, dripping it down and powder coating her up. And that's the way God intended it. So let's put this thing together, see how it works. Got some old pavers here leaning up against the cinder block, hopefully to kind of whatever I pressure wash to keep it in place. And I put it at it's probably like a 60-degree angle, just so when I spray it, it goes directly into my eyes. Because I will for sure forget to put my safety glasses on at some point. I've got a Westinghouse, mosquitoes, get out of here. Got a Westinghouse 3200 PSI, 2.5 gallons per minute. I'm sure you could probably get this to work with an electric pressure washer, but the key focus is the PSI and gallons per minute. So if you have 3200 PSI, 1.5 gallons, it's not putting out a lot of water, a lot of pressure, and not a lot of flow. So this number right here is most important. This is my setup here. I've got the bag of sand. It was down in the sand. The top of the vent tube is sticking out above the sand. I figured that was probably best. Allow for airflow to be able to suction through the venturi, which is this brass guy here. This is my first time ever using this thing. And if you're gonna plan on using one of these as well, make sure you're in an area like this where there's gravel, where sand doesn't really matter. Don't do it on your driveway, because you're gonna get sand everywhere from the looks of it. I'm gonna grab my first part. I'm gonna get one that's painted, and we're just gonna go to town. We're gonna see how it does, but I'll set up the camera, and hopefully, as soon as I pull the trigger, high pressured sand water will shoot directly at the camera, because that's probably what'll happen. That's my luck. All right, so this is the first piece that we're doing. It is just the inspection plate for the transmission. Got some rust on this side, a little bit of paint and dirt and grease and rust on this side. So figured this would be a good start, nice and flat. It's like 1/16 of an inch thick, 16 gauge, whatever you want to call it. Just gonna put this guy right here for now, start it up and see how it does. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm right next to the exhaust, as close as I could possibly be. Connected securely. Gonna do a test fire. Holy shit! That shit is unbelievable. Gone. I mean, there's a little bit there, but that short amount of time and very little sand. Maybe about like 3 or 4 cups worth of sand. I'm gonna flip it over, do the other side, but man, this thing rips. I highly recommend it, because that is insane. I figured it was gonna take a little bit longer than that, but that was sexy right there. So let's finish up. I mean, it goes without saying, there's a lot of sand going everywhere. But the good thing about the water being added to it is it kind of keeps the spread of dust, which is really bad for your lungs, silica dust. Prevents the spread of sand going literally everywhere. So you don't really have to wear a mask. It keeps the dust down, keeps the sand kind of wherever you point it. Yeah, man, this thing's awesome. I'm gonna use this all the time. Let's crank it up! I mean, it's still got sand all over it, but I don't know if that was from the sand. I think that was just where some rust was, but it was pretty well pitted out there. This thing is bitchin'. I mean, that almost looks like brand new metal right there. And it only took maybe 5 minutes to do that piece. And I got over 3/4 of a bag of sand left. Efficient, to say the least. Okay, so this is the large shim or sheet metal piece that goes between, it's an adapter, I don't know what they call this damn thing, cover, filler piece. that goes between the transmission and the engine. You can see on the inside edges there's still paint left. I think that's going to be kind of the case with this thing. Can't really get too close, and it's not going to be super accurate on those edges. I could just hit that with some sandpaper or some steel wool, get that off. Just a quick look at the murder scene so you guys can see how much sand this puts everywhere. Now I'm not too worried because this is gravel. My shoe, on the other hand, and my pants, which are cuffed, have sand all in them. Look like I fell in the ocean. Probably 30 pounds or more of sand. You just shake the bag of sand a little bit, make sure that tube is always in the sand, and it'll sucker, and it'll get that sand out, and it'll put that sand right on that part, and that part will be clean when you're done. Well, mostly. I guess the only other thing I have to do is that boring all chelating fluid. That doesn't seem nearly as fun as this, but I'm almost out of sand and I got quite a few parts, so maybe I'll do one more little part with the water blaster, we'll call it, and the rest of these fluid's still not mixed up. We're going to put in that chelating fluid overnight. Hopefully we have enough to cover the parts. I have a feeling we don't, so if we don't, I don't know, make some more. Maybe I'll just do one of them to see if it really works, and if it really works, the rest of them I'll just hit with the water blaster. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see how it turns out. All right, ladies and gents, it's time to check out how the chelating fluid works. It's pretty dark in there. This is promising. Let me turn some lights on. Let's take a look at this. You can see the inside, definitely clean, like a clean, definitive line. See that crusty portion of it right there, blackish color, that's paint, and it's coming up a little bit, but it's probably because there's rust underneath it. And then there's the rust line, very definitive as to how it was sitting in the chelating fluid. Let's check this guy. Whoa, dude, holy shit. That is awesome. That's pretty incredible. That's bare metal, just from sitting in here. Well, damn, I don't even have to bead blast that. I'm just gonna flip all these over, let them sit overnight again. Look at that, look at that. That's cool. Even the bolt. So this is good for rusty bolts too. And all you gotta do is just put it in there overnight. Well, it's probably 2 nights rather. Look at that, oh my God. That is so cool, dude. Look at that. I hope this is coming through on camera. This is incredible. And that was like, I mean, out of pocket for me, this was probably $13 because I had to buy the disodium. So buy the disodium, citric acid, distilled water, and you already got dish soap. Everybody does for washing your dishes. Just mix that together. It didn't mix very well. It kind of settled on the bottom and I was like, whatever, I just poured it in the container and just left it. I was like, whatever, I'll just shake it up a little bit when I walk by it every once in a while, and turns out it doesn't really matter. Once you put it in the actual solution, the chemicals just kind of go to work. They just go after the metal or the rust. Cut and dry, baby. We up out of here. So this is my new favorite thing in the whole world right now. I'm gonna let this sit overnight again. And by then, these parts should be completely free of rust. But I do want to talk about a few things. I powder coated a couple of parts, did a short on this guy. This turned out pretty good. There's a couple of spots where it touched the bottom of the oven, but this is facing up. This turned out really good. This is the inspection plate that's kind of at the bottom of the transmission, just to cover up where the flywheel is. That is a part you'll see from underneath the car, so I'm glad that turned out. This is between the engine and transmission, and you can see, because it was kind of a big part and I was in a little bit of a rush, I just kind of laid it on the grate in the oven and it left some lines right there. But the one thing that really pissed me off was when I went to try to hang it up, it fell down right on the heating element and you could see those crusty lines. I think what I'll plan on doing is just like sanding those a little bit, just dusting it with, I'll probably just sand it. You'll never see it, but in my mind, I know it'll be there. But I might sand it and just give it another dust with the powder and see how it turns out. Should be better than that. It's just plastic dust in the end. That's what powder coat is. It's just microplastics that you're static clinging to a metal surface and then melting on in an oven. It's not really even that hard to do. I do have my new flywheel. We're gonna check that out. I obviously have a bunch of radiator hoses, cooling hoses to replace. Ooh, that looks nice, the sun. Look at the way the light shines on my face through the dirty ass windows. So beautiful. Yeah, so I got silicone hoses, brand new stainless steel clamps, got all that. And I just got to put it on. Got to find the time to put it on. Let's go look at the flywheel. Did I forget something? Oh yeah, here's the transmission. I painted it very silvery silver, high temp silver paint from Home Depot, because I didn't feel like waiting for the cast aluminum color to come through the mail for 3 times the price of 1 can. So we did this, and it only took 1 can, and I did several coats, and I think it looks pretty fresh. I found the flywheel. It's literally right underneath my powder coated parts. Let's check it out. Cue music. Oh, come on. Oh, it's nice. Made in America. Made in the USA. Just like me. Got something in common. This thing is nice. I really do want to wear it. Oh, wear it. I want to wear this around my neck like a necklace. A little bit of what they call bling bling in my day. Replaceable wear disc. Countersunk screws. I'll probably make sure, double check, make sure those are tight. Flywheel, crankshaft. Do not reuse flywheel crank bolts. That's good that I bought ARP replacements. I did not know that was a thing. I think a lot of people reuse them. They give me a sticker. Thanks, Aasco. Represent. What's up, guys? So here's the finished product of the chelating rust removing fluid. A little bit of surface rust on this side because I ended up taking and rotating the parts to let them sit a little bit longer. It is actually pretty good at removing old paint. I mean, some of this stuff is loosened up quite a bit. Bolts even don't have any rust anymore, so they look like brand new bolts. You can see a lot of that paint is loosened up, so I should be able to get that with a pressure washer. Same thing here. Now, I obviously do have to put the motor mounts back on, but I want to remove the old stuff and either do TPU motor mounts that I make myself, which will require me to burn out these steel inserts with a torch, and I'll have to cut out the original sleeves. There is a file by Matrix Garage on GrabCAD and a few other probably 3D printing communities that he has these mounts for printing, so I could print them out technically. I just reached out to him this morning to see if he had, what kind of luck he had with them, if he actually did any real world testing, which I know people have done stuff like this. They've done it with bump stops, they've done it with motor mounts, and for this application I think it would be fine. This isn't a super high horsepower car, so I think it would work okay. That being said, you never know, and it would take a lot more time for me to do something like that probably than to just buy some polyurethane ones, but they're $100, and you know, money doesn't grow on trees, so if I can spend that $100 on the exhaust system that I'm planning on doing, I would rather do that. What I'm planning on doing today is just cleaning these up. I'm going to pressure wash these off and try to get these old mounts out. Any other rusty little brackets, I think I have some exhaust brackets that I'll probably throw in this fluid and let that sit. Ultimately, just trying to clean this stuff up, get it coated if I can, get it ready to put back on the car. But I got to figure out what I'm going to do with these mounts. This mount is almost completely torn. I also don't know if they're supposed to be off center, if that's just like the weight of that whole thing. The engine weighing down, engine transmission weighing down on it brought it off center over time. This one's kind of the same. And I noticed the Matrix Garage files, he drew them up and printed them out in that kind of sagged location. So maybe it's supposed to be like that, because there's no way that that little cross piece was ever gonna hold the weight of the engine suspended with those little pieces of rubber. So I think it's supposed to be off center on that one at least, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. I've been working on, obviously, powder coating a few things. These are all mostly motor mounts, motor mount brackets, and spent some time researching and finally pulling the trigger on 3D printing my motor mount bushings. These are 95A Overture TPU, 6 perimeters, 80% infill, because I didn't want them to be quite as hard as a polyurethane. Just doing a test fit on this stuff today. This stuff is hard. I mean, it's going to hold up just fine. I have a feeling. So almost completely done with my powder coating. I got one part left I got to powder coat. I forgot it on the actual body, but it's the transmission mount. I'll do the serpentine belt side mount, like the engine side mount, some other time, because right now that's basically what's holding the engine in the car, as well as the jack stand. So we'll get that done. Getting ready to go out of town for a trip. Should be a fun time, but when I get back, it's back to the grinding stone. Okay, so I wanted to cover a few things that I've been working on over the past few weeks. Just kind of chipping away at the iceberg. Evapo-Rust, the homemade Evapo-Rust, works great, works amazing. And it keeps working for a little while. But one thing I did notice is after it's kind of done its job to the point where it's not really effective anymore, the fluid will start to turn really, really dark. It'll start to turn black. So when you see that fluid start to turn very black, you're gonna have to take that stuff and dump it. And what you'll find in the bottom of the container, like I found, is just like a crust. And the fluid starts to smell bad, starts to smell like rusty water. It just stinks. Gets on your hands, gets in your fingers, stains. But this mixture, for the most part, is very natural. So it does work really well. Made some fresh stuff last night. You can see it's bare metal. Now I don't really have a before image of this, but it was very rough texture, like surface rust. So today we are working on putting the car back together, finally. Today, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. Full on grinding. So I might get some just time-lapse footage of me getting the transmission back in the car. We've got a lot of work to do. I am happy about getting this car back together. We've got the aluminum flywheel, we've got the stage 1 clutch, freshly powder coated brackets, motor mounts, all that stuff. And one thing I wanted to talk about, I'm gonna grab those. All right, so when you take these motor mounts apart, you have the actual outer race kind of pressed in there. What I've been doing, or what I've done, is cut the actual rubber portion, the center portion of the mount bushing out. So you get the steel bushing that goes through the center where your bolt passes through. Get that out of there, and you're just gonna carefully take a Sawzall and just cut down through this steel race here until you just pass through it. You gotta be careful. A Sawzall, especially with a good blade, will cut right through this motor mount, and you'll have to either find another one or weld it back together. So just be very careful. You can see I nicked it in a couple of spots, but not enough to be of any concern. But yeah, you cut through that in a couple of spots, and I just took a flathead. If you cut closer to where there's like a weld, it's a little more rigid, so you can get behind that race with a flathead screwdriver and break it out, and then roll it up, and it'll pop right out with a hammer. No big deal. This you're not going to use anymore, but this you will need to use unless you somehow machined or found some of the pieces of steel instead of reusing these. So what I've been doing, and a lot of people will tell you to just light these on fire, and that's fine. It just takes a really long time, speaking from experience, which is what this channel is all about, right? I just been taking these bushings, put them in the vise, and literally shaking the table apart with a Sawzall. Also, a drywall saw will work pretty good. If you don't have anything else, it'll saw right through it just like butter. Probably wear safety glasses when you're doing this, just for the sake of the video. You just want to cut the majority of that rubber off. There you go. It's a little snack. Don't do that. Tastes like crap. So cut the majority of the rubber off, so when you go to burn it with a torch, throw it in the fire, boiling pit of lava, whatever you're gonna do to get that rubber off, the remaining amount of that rubber off, just get the majority of it off. Once you burn it, it'll look kind of charred. It'll be kind of dusty, crispy. Make sure you wear some gloves, because that carbon will stain the piss out of your fingers, and you'll never, well, you'll get it off eventually, but it just takes a while for it to come off. Ask me how I know. For the sake of not shaking everything off the table, I'm not using the Sawzall, because it really doesn't work that much better than a drywall blade. Now this one is a wall board tools. It's probably kind of expensive, but whatever. Sometimes you got to just rig some stuff up and just use what you got. Yeah, get as much rubber off as you can, because it makes the process a lot faster. And once you start the fire on this piece of metal, it'll just keep going, and pretty much when it stops, that's how you know it's ready to be cleaned manually the rest of the way. With what I basically used was a piece of sandpaper on the bench, and just kind of, once I knocked off the majority of the char, just kind of sanded it on there and then took it, soap, hot water, wire brush, and just cleaned it up as good as I could. And that's fine. I didn't powder coat these pieces. I mean, I guess I still have time to do that, but you can't really get them super, super clean unless you have like bench grinder with a wire brush and you want to spend the time doing that. But this is all going to be kind of enclosed inside of the bushing anyways, and you're not really going to see it. So it's really up to you on what you want to do. But this is basically what it needs to look like before you cook it on the grill. I don't think it's super important on what kind of torch you have. Just be careful. Obviously this time of year it's cooling down. There's leaves and stuff everywhere. So if you are going to be burning stuff, make sure you're keeping an eye on it. It's right outside the garage. I've got a fire extinguisher. I've got a hose. Got all kinds of stuff to make sure that we are safely doing this. You can see where I did the other ones. Heat it up until it catches on fire. And it just smells like a burnout. Flip it over a little bit. And I just kind of let it do its thing for a little bit. Really just want it to start looking like charcoal, and then at that point it just kind of brushes right off. But like I said, the more material you can remove before you do this, the faster it goes, and it doesn't piss your neighbors off as much too, because it smells like crap. That'll be the last steel bushing that I need to do. I forgot about that one. I started putting the mounts together and I was like, where's the last piece? I'm like, oh yeah, the one I'm removing the rust on had the last piece, and I need to clean that off so that I can install it back in that mount there. So I'm gonna drag the pressure washer out. I'm gonna clean this bracket up, start getting that one powder coated, because that'll take a little while for it to cool off. Everything just needs to cool off. We all need to cool off. Looks pretty good. Turned out pretty solid. I think it's gonna work out great. If you think it's gonna work out great too, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I love making videos. I wanna keep making videos for you guys. Liking and subscribing and commenting tell me that you guys want more. And I know my videos are a little disorganized because that's just who I am, but we're gonna do these 3D printed motor mount bushings and see how they turn out. If you wanna print your own, you can find these files, the original files, on grabcad.com. You go to library and you type in Matrix Garage. All those files are there. And what I used were the one-piece bushings. So all the ones that you need will be one piece. Put them in the slicing software. You can print them as one piece, but you're not going to get them in there with one piece. So unless they're super soft, which mine are not, I just used the cut function to cut them directly in half and printed one half of it twice for each size. So for each location, transmission, rear engine, front engine, and passenger side of the engine, or where the dry belts are, just print each one of those twice with it cut in half. So you only need half of that bushing twice, and it'll make a hole. This big boy right here, which is the front motor mount bushing, is a little dimensionally incorrect. The ID is too tight for the steel bushing. 2 millimeters too small. I was able to drill mine out with a 7/8 drill bit, run it really fast. It creates enough friction to kind of get the rubber soft enough, shoot it out. What I would do if you're going to do it, and what I'm planning on doing, is making an edited version of everything with some labels on each mount so you kind of know where each one goes, as well as like certain bushings like this. They're a little bit eccentric. This is the transmission bushing. It sits lower. It needs probably like a little down arrow and just a couple of letters to tell you where it goes. Something simple like that makes a big difference. The other thing I found with this big guy is it's a little too narrow. As you can see, the bushing sticks out on both sides. I might have that issue with the transmission too, I don't know yet, but this one could for sure present a problem down the road. Reason being, there's nothing really preventing these bushings from spreading apart because they're two pieces. So what we need to do is kind of just drop a quick spacer printed out of TPU, which I got another roll of it, just to make up that difference there so that these don't slowly spread apart inside of the mount. Because although it's accessible and easy to get to, I don't want to have to deal with it down the road. So I'll make those files accessible to you guys as well. But let me finish the rest of this up. What's going on, everybody? It is 10 o'clock almost, probably, and this jar of motor oil, at least that's what I call it. My wife calls it cold brew, and it keeps me going. This is the flywheel and clutch installed. The Aasco clutch gave me a little bit of trouble. The center bore that fits over top of the crankshaft was a little tight. I think it's probably supposed to be that way. You want to be
very accurate with something like this. Any bit of it being off center and causing any kind of vibration, because the possibility of explosion, I'm sure, is pretty high. I did take some sandpaper and kind of go through the bore a little bit, just because as I was putting it on there, it was kind of peeling away the aluminum a little bit, which I didn't like, but I got it sanded down enough to where it would kind of fit on there, got a few bolts started, and just kind of star patterned all the way on until it was properly torqued in place. Did the same thing with the, see if I can get a proper view of this thing, with the clutch. I'm also going in with the silicone hoses that I bought and just accessing and doing the hoses as the transmission is out, because it's a little bit easier to get to. I have the first motor mount with the 3D printed bushings in place. The hose clamps I bought from Amazon, don't make that mistake. Those clamps are terrible, so make sure you buy quality clamps. I went to Home Depot and picked some up, robust stainless ones. They all have the same size hardware, so I don't have to use different sockets for every clamp on the car. What's going on, guys? Happy Saturday. Pretty tired today. Was up late last night, probably didn't get to bed until almost 2 a.m. Just gassed, completely gassed. But did get the transmission back in the car. Got the 3D printed transmission bushing installed, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It was not fun getting the transmission back in by myself, but I was able to do it, and you can do it. It's just, you're gonna be tired. My hands, my forearms, shoulders were sore as hell when I finally got to bed, but it's in, and that's what matters. The 3D printed TPU motor mount bushing that's in there now, like I said, TPU 95A shore hardness, should be pretty close to polyurethane, but I did 80% infill. Good snug fit, steel bushing, factory steel bushing is in there. Got everything installed, and the one half of the bushing did kind of push out a little bit. It can only go so far, I think, but all the weight of the transmission and some of the engine is hanging on that mount on that side. So it's a lot of weight. The front and rear mounts are not installed yet. Those are going to be TPU as well. I'm hoping just static weight, that'll take some load off of it. Now driving wise, we'll see how it performs. It's going to be kind of difficult to get the 3D printed bushing out of the transmission side. I'll probably end up having to lower the engine a little bit to be able to get that out, but we'll figure something out if I have to. We'll see how it does. The other thing I wanted to talk about is don't buy hose clamps from Amazon. I bought stainless steel hose clamps just because I don't like dealing with the rusty ones. They start looking like crap, and you know, they bind up when you're trying to adjust them. The big thing about all of them is they all had different size hardware, where if you get the ones from Home Depot or Lowe's, they all have the same hardware and they're built a lot better. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna buy them from Home Depot. They're too expensive, but you get what you pay for, because these little 1-inch ones, they're like paper thin, and the little split piece on the inside where the actual worm screw is, it's not welded. There's no tabs that lock it in place. So as soon as you start tightening it, all that force, it just wants to spread it open, and it starts jumping. Starts jumping on the teeth of the worm screw, and it just doesn't work. I went ahead and did a lot of the hoses that I could access before doing the transmission, just because it seemed like a good thing to do. Maybe a little bit easier to do it underneath the car than try to like break my arm to get in there. I might end up taking the battery out, but these are some of the silicone hoses. You can see the transmission looks good in there, spray painted. Can't really see the bushing, but that's the powder coated bracket. All this is gonna have to be cleaned up and painted eventually. This is part of the weldment of the car, so this is not removable. I wish it was, because I would take it out. I would powder coat that too. The clamps that I did buy from Home Depot, you get the extra that comes out of the clamp. It's a little long. The ranges that they have for like what it fits is pretty wide. They don't do a lot of like middle sizes. So I would install them, mark them with a Sharpie, take them off, and trim the excess off with tin snips. I know that's tedious. I don't expect anybody else to do that, but I think the end result, it looks a shit ton better. That's just my opinion. And you don't have that extra hanging out, grabbing onto wires, grabbing on your hands, cutting you, scratching you up. It's just out of the way, which is nice. Right now, it pretty much just comes down to just reassembly. And that's what I'm gonna work on now. I'm gonna scrub the starter with a little bit of warm soap and water. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. I've got a brand new oil pan. It's powder coated. It's supposed to be like a premium oil pan. The one that's on there now is just crusty, rusted up, looks like crap. So got new gaskets. There, we'll get everything cleaned up. If there's any other oil leaks coming from like the oil cooler lines or anything like that, we'll address that. I'm just excited to get this thing back together. The unfortunate thing is waiting on the flywheel, waiting on the time to do the work on this car. You forget a lot of stuff. You forget where a lot of stuff goes, and if you're not very, very, very organized, you could misplace a bolt like I did last night. I'm like, this bolt is too long for this hole. And that's what I recommend. Always run the bolt all the way in by hand if you're not sure, because if you bottom it out and crack the block or strip something out, that is a bad, bad day. I was trying to get the hoses, radiator hoses, off of one of the hard lines underneath the car last night. Like, you know, they just glue themselves to whatever they're on, if they're on there for a long time. So I grabbed some channel locks. I'm like just wrenching on it. And I finally get it off. It's a copper line. It was smashed almost flat. And you want to talk about panic, because that hard line goes all the way to the front of the car and alongside the gas tank. And I'm sure it is hard to find. It's probably expensive. I was a little worried, but I took the end of my ratchet, kind of stuck it in the hole of it, and just kind of massaged it back into shape. All is well. Everything's fine. But don't get in a rush with that stuff. I ended up just taking a knife, which I don't like doing because it puts like a score line. Could potentially become a leak, but as long as you get everything nice and tight, should be good. When I did use a blade, I did take some sandpaper and just kind of rubbed around the actual nipple of the hard lines just to kind of smooth any kind of groove that may be there out, and I think it's going to be okay. But just be careful, because those hard lines are very soft. Yeah, if you turn it from round into square, it's probably not going to seal very well. And when you go to put a hose clamp on there, it could potentially just collapse on itself and you won't even know it until you end up overheating or blowing up your motor. So be very careful with that. She's running. If you have Koenig helium wheels and you're looking for center caps, Jegs will get them to you eventually. I finally got these after about a month and a half, maybe 2 months of waiting. The infamous Koenig helium center caps. I don't know if they're infamous, but I'm glad I got them now because I don't have to use 3D printed versions. I think these will look a little bit better, plus they're original. Also, the badge sticks on, so don't drop it like I did and mess it up immediately. All right, Stevie, you want to talk into the microphone? Okay, we are installing, these are called center caps. Can you say center caps?
Center caps.
You hold the microphone, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're installing these center caps. I need you to help me with something though.
Okay.
I need you to help me put them on.
Okay, Dad.
This is like a metal sticker, you see it?
Yeah.
I need you to pull that white piece off.
I did it.
Okay, do you want to put it on there or do you want to hold this? You want to put this on? All right, so we put the black side inside of that hole right here, okay? Gotta be centered. Oh, good job. Look at that. You did it. Look at it. She did such a good job, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Hey, what is this called again?
Center cap.
Yeah. Where does it go?
It goes on the wheel.
Where at? You want to push it on there for me? Here, I'll hold the microphone. Push, push, push. I'll give you a hand. Push, push, push. Oh, there it goes. Do a high five into the microphone. Yeah. What do you think? Look at the camera and tell me what you think about the center caps.
I love to put it on.
You love to put the center caps on. All right,
Yeah.
we have 2 more to do.
Yeah.
Let's get them done.
Okay, I do it.
Okay, Stevie is going to tell you guys all about Daddy's car, right?
Thank you. I'm so excited I was the highest day, guys. I'm so popular. Little tiny stick. Please, thank you. Ha 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 ha. Hello, 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 hello.
Should we get him a close-up?
Yeah.
Close up. Go. Ooh-wee. We gotta say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.